Hi, it's Kathy from Raven Vintage. I'm just about finished my Valentine journal and I wanted to share with you 10 easy ways to use up the scraps from this project and turn them into embellishments for the journal. I have my scraps here ready to go and I have my journal. All of my tools are ready. I have my coffee. Let's see how we can add some texture and dimension to this journal using the scraps from this project. Let's get started. One of the reasons I love to use a file folder, maybe you use one of those vinyl envelopes or something, but just some sort of a flat container source of some sort. You could even use scrapbook paper, is that I can keep all of the matching coordinating scraps from that project in one place, so I can keep going back to that same folder and eventually try to thin down this folder as much as possible. It's kind of a challenge, actually. In this case, I'm down to one full sheet of, these are my test prints from a kit. I have one full sheet left. In this case, it's ephemera. I've used the background pages. This is single-sided, and these are all scraps. So it's the printables, it's the scrapbook paper I use some printed vellum from something else, and I have some file folder pieces that I could use to back tags, that sort of thing. It might look like garbage to some, like enough, and at some point I might just say, okay, done. It's going in the recycle bin. But right now I still see a lot of good use in these scraps here. So one of the first things I want to show you is how to make a little scrappy notebook out of, I've made one already, and I'll show you how quick it is to make something like this. And out of all these things I'm going to show you, I'm going to then show you how to use them in your journal. Okay, so these are so quick, so easy. So this, you can see I've used scrapbook paper, so I have some left here, and then I've used different scraps throughout. So this one I did, I'll see what size this is. This one is about 2.5 inches, let's say. I'll just make a little room here. So I'm just looking for vertical pieces I can use in this little scrappy note. Okay, so that's a good start. So like I said, let's make this one a little more narrow. I am going to get rid of this cardstock printed ones. Okay, so let's call this more like, say, let's do a 2-inch long notebook. Let's grab my chopper. I love these little scrappy notebooks. They're so fun. Great way to use up your scraps. So let's just do, I need to put my glasses on. My goodness, they're right on top of my head and I'm not even using them. Let's go 2 inch. Let's do a long, narrow. So now I still have the piece to use. And then what I do is I turn this and use this as my back. In this case, it's single-sided. If you have double-sided, it doesn't matter. But just decide what you want to be the back of your notebook. And I'm just going to fold that over about that much. And that is roughly 1/2 inch. Okay, so I just want to start with some pieces. This is kind of fun. Let's use I've got, this is just packing paper. I like that. That's pretty narrow. This is a bigger piece I can put in the back. I think I might want to save that for something else, actually. Now you can stagger these, since they're a little more narrow, I can stagger them this way, horizontally. I want a little more that over top. Like that. Okay, that's cute. I like that. Like that. Okay, so what I'm going to do is start trimming to match this size. Trimming the top. And then I'm going to bring my cover over. Now before I glue that down, I'm going to staple this. Now you can staple either way. If you want the flat, staple it backwards. If you want it to be the smooth part of the staple on the back, which is probably a good idea. So last time I did not. So I'm going to staple backwards this time, which is probably easier if I turn this over. I probably could have got away with one staple there, but now I have the smooth parts on the back. And then if I bring this over, I can glue that down. But we don't need to worry about that just yet. So let's turn this, and what I'm going to do is trim my sides. All three. No, you don't have to have trim sides and make it like that if you don't want to. But what I'm going to do next is do a little tearing, because I like this little cascade look. So out of those scraps, I'm going to keep that, and I think I'm going to toss the rest. Yeah, good decision. Clean as you go. Clean as you go. So let's just bring, now when you're tearing, if you tear away from you, hold the top of the notebook to your left, or scrapbook to your left, little notepad, what are we calling it? A little scrappy notebook, and tear away from you. That way the white edge is the piece we're getting rid of. And if you're trying to get a good straight line-ish, when you're pinching with this, your thumb and finger on this side, and as you're tearing, move together along. See how the vellum's gonna tear. Pretty good, like that. And see, I didn't cut a very straight line at the bottom. Are you surprised? I'm not surprised. And then you can ink these up if you like to. And I think I might just leave that. Well, maybe I'll tear it a little bit. There we go. So there's your notebook. Super cute. A little notepad. Now you're going to say that doesn't look like something you can write on. Well, absolutely you can, because these can be written on the back. So look at all the journaling space we just gained with this little scrappy notebook, and it's going to be so cute tucked into a belly band. Look at this one with the scallop scissors. It's going to be so cute tucked into a pocket or a side tuck or belly band. So glue that before or ink that before I glue it down. There we go. Cute little notebook. So there's two examples of notebooks. So it's one little scrap buster you can do. And now you've added something, you have something to add to your journals. These are pretty tiny. Keep those ones maybe. Actually, I'm going to just keep that there for a second. So the next thing I'm going to show you are tab clusters. So tab clusters are fantastic to use on the edge of your pages. So this is where we can use those really small bits. Let me set these guys aside. So I love that some of these I cut with, you know, some of those craft scissors. I'm looking for whatever. I'm looking for whatever, just small pieces. I like that these have numbers on them. I'm going to use some of my shipping tape. Now, if you want them to be pretty sturdy, try to find some of your cardstock as well. think I'll hang on to that piece. Something else. You're going to mix some neutrals in there if possible, like all these little bits here. These odd shaped pieces are fabulous for this. There's some more vellum, fantastic. Different colors. This is great. Okay, that's a good start. Okay, so basically what we want is to create something that's going to be approximately, let me see how big, 1 inch wide by maybe 2 inches long. And what we want to do is make this cluster so that it sticks out, like we're going to do cluster tabs. So they're going to stick out of your journal. You're going to attach them to the side of the page and bring them out as far as you like, so that they, if you want them to stick out past it, however far you want, maybe just a little bit, but they're just going to be little bits, clusters that we add to certain pages. 3, you could do like 1, 2, 3 throughout the height of the book, your journal. These are super fun and easy too. So I'm going to use this, cut off the white, and this is just going to be my background. I'm going to do 2. So here's my base to start with. We want some sort of a neutral. That's pinks. So I really am going to want to see some fun edges here. So where did those bits go that we cut? What did I do with those? Did I not pull them out? Oh yeah, I did right here. There they are. Those are great fun. Those edges. We can put some script in there. So let's start with now you could staple these and then add something to that with, I'll pull out my Tim Holtz or something and we can add a little something. What I'd really like to do though is put a heart on there because it is a Valentine's journal. So let's do this again. Okay, so there's 2 little clusters. Okay, so we have notebooks and we have clusters. Notepads, sorry, I keep saying notebooks. Notepads and clusters. Let me just tidy up a bit. Okay, the next thing is just to use all of your punches. So if you find you have some bits left over, like this here, I really like the script. So what I'll show you what I've done. I won't go through and punch all of these, but this is cut off, but that's okay because it can be hidden behind something. So I've done some 2-inch medallions just by finding focal points in the printable, especially when they're collage printables like these this Valentine's collection, because you can find little focal points to do your medallions. Now the next thing I did was I took these medallions and I just folded them in half and then cut those into hearts. So from the bottom, just trim it up a bit to be a heart, and then from the top just go in and made some little hearts. You can use a template if you want, whatever you like. Make that a little thinner. So you've got some hearts for your journal. Very easy. Using quickly finding a focal point using your punch, because when you turn your punch over, you can decide where you want to. You try to find something here because I've used so much stuff, like this dog. I'll just cut that. Now, I've used this particular Valentine in the journal already as a Valentine, just on the inside cover. So I'm okay with sacrificing that for a punch. Not close enough. Get a little bit closer. Okay, so we could make him the focal point of something. Like that. So you turn your punch over, of course, to see what you're doing, so you can get a center or a focal point on your medallions. Okay, there's different ways to use your medallions in your journals. One of the things I like to do with these is as a tag topper. They're pretty. Make those hearts, but now I want to make some tiny hearts to put on our clusters. So let's use a smaller punch. This one is 1.5 inch. Let's see if that'll work. And in this case, I'm just looking for color. I don't really care. That one's even kind of big, but let's see what that's going to look like. So this is oh, it was a little, that's okay, because I'm making a heart. This one's probably a little big. Yeah, let me go with something a little smaller. This is a 1 inch, so that's 1.5, that's 1. Could maybe, let's try the 1 inch. Let's see, like, look at the piece of scrap I'm using for this. Instead of throwing that away, now I'm actually going to make an embellishment with this. So I'm folding it in half. I'm just going to make this into a heart. I mean, you can just fold your paper and you don't need to use a punch to make the hearts. You know how to do that, right? Just fold your paper in half. But we could ink up these little hearts. Oh, that's a little sharp. Sharp hearts. Ink up your little heart and then put that on your cluster. Yeah, that's cute. Let's do that. Yeah, like I said, you can just make your own hearts out of folding your paper in half, like we used to do. Remember doing that in school? But if you use a punch, then you're going to get a little bit of consistency in your sizing, if that's important to you. There, cute. So that covers up the staple. I'll show you what I mean. And a nice color. Really getting low on scraps. Okay, let's use this. So you know how you would just fold your paper in half like that, and then you would just cut your heart yourself. Oops. Up and around. Just to make your own little hearts. I'm not very good at this. There we go. So we'll just ink up this little guy. Of course, I don't have die cuts, so if you're wondering why I'm doing all this and you're like, why don't you just use your die cuts? Because I don't have any. That's why. I don't have a die cut machine, and I have a Cricut, but I don't have what are they called? Big Shot? No, I'm not even sure. I don't have a die cut machine, and I don't have die cuts. There, cute. Okay, so now we have 2 little cluster tabs made with hearts on them. That's another idea. Plus you have all your medallions and the bigger hearts. So there's 3 things we've made. Have you seen those little desk vacuums? So cute. Okay. Let me make some room. Here I've used to use some script, and I used my medallion punch. It's 1 inch. That's really cute too. Okay, and then speaking of punches, here's another thing you can do. This is a tag punch. Now you can of course just make your own tags. We all know how to make a tag. But that's a tag punch if you want that style. So I just trimmed some of those. That's another idea. But if you were going to make your own tags out of your scraps, get rid of the white here. So when I say you know how to make your own tags, just I cannot cut and keep them even. They always turn out wonky, so I always do this little thing. One of these days I'll make myself a little tag template, like out of a credit card or something. There's a little mini tag. We can punch a hole in it if we want with our hole punch. So smaller tags, which are great when you're doing layered pockets. So there's tag. So tags, that's another idea. Make your own or use a punch if you have one. Another great idea. Okay, here's another strip or an end cut. So what I like to do with these is just simply border the edge of a page. So I would just hang on to those and use those as a page border. And clusters themselves, just as a cluster, I'll see if I can demonstrate that with just regular paper. I'm going to try to demonstrate that with this, and I'm going to try to do a double. Okay, so I have a strip of paper and a strip of paper. I'm just holding them together at this point, and at this end I'm just going to, I'm grabbing these and I'm turning my hands this way until I get a bend, and then I crease it, and then I turn my hands the opposite direction and crease it. I'm pinching and turning, pinch and turn, pinch and turn, pinch and turn. Give that a squeeze, pinch and turn. You get the idea? So I'm pinching this like this, I'm pinching this, and I'm turning my hands in like I'm meeting my palms together, and fold, pinch, and go the opposite direction, pinch and fold, pinch and fold. That's how I do clusters. So now this is a little thick, but you can start to kind of spread it apart to the length you want. Like maybe some of those folds you would straighten out a bit. I'm just kind of stretching it out a bit. So now I have this kind of cluster effect. I'm going to cut off the end. And then what you can do is you can drop glue in between the folds, or you can, if you can, staple the bottom. But I think in this case I'm going to need glue. So I'm just going, this is another great use of these precision bottles. Just dab glue in behind. Now another thing you can do is you can back it with some washi tape or something on the back. So we're just going to press that down. And you've just made a little kind of cluster. There we go. Your washi tape along the back like this. Just kind of hold it together. Let's rip off whatever. It's just a paper cluster. It's really easy to do with tissue paper and with vellum. Do I have any left? I don't know if I used it all. Checking my scraps for, oh yeah, there's a piece here. So here is a piece of, that's a folded cluster. There's other ways to do clusters, but that's a folded cluster. So yeah, this type of stuff is really easy. So just one direction, and then I'm turning my hands the other direction. This way, this way. You can see I'm not actually putting my hands together in this case because this is so easy to do, just turning one hand. But basically, that's it. In this case, let's try a staple. So there's another cluster. And then of course you can just do paper clusters. So that's just like a, with these really small bits. Just want some mix matchy colors. So this is where you would just collage basically into a bundle. Just something like that, and glue it together, which is also super cute. So just start adding bits in different directions. So something like that. And then we could put one of those hearts or a medallion like this on top. It's the same color, so let's find something else. Where's my medallion stamp? Punch. I always call stamps, punches, stamps. I don't know why. It's a thing. Oh, what's a pretty color for that? Okay. See this scrap I'm using? Like it's, and now look at what came out of that scrap. So pretty. So here's my cluster. That would be really pretty on top. Then you could get out your numbers, your letters, your sentiments, that sort of thing. So there's another little paper cluster, just ripping up your scraps and making a little explosion of paper like that. It's another way to do scraps. Okay. So that, the other thing would be, if you sew, is, what do you call it? A snippet roll. So you could start to make a snippet roll just with glue. It's so pretty. Okay, so this is an unsewn. Now you can go sew that if you like. I haven't been using I haven't got to that yet using my sewing machine, but there's a snippet roll. Okay, I could still use that. It doesn't have to be sewn. I can still use that in my journal. And then you can like rip that in half and use the pieces you want. Another thing you can do is a master board. And then you can make tags out of your master board. So we don't have time for that, but I would, oh, there's one more thing I wanted to show you. Is cutting out, when you have printables or scrapbook paper that is in a collage format, look for numbers and words and cut those out tiny, and page numbers as well, because then you can use those throughout your journal on your tags. Like, even, it doesn't matter how teeny tiny they are, just cut out the words and keep them separate. I would hate to, that's such a pretty little bit of the vintage wallpaper. I just don't want to throw that away, right? So we'll try to find a use for it eventually. But I've greatly reduced my scraps now by this much. Like, you have to be able to see that that's a fair amount. And then when you know you've used your scraps to your best of your ability, then you do not feel guilty about tossing or recycling the rest, right? Because we've done everything we can. All right, let's get that journal out. Put everything to the side. Come here, dear. Okay, here she is. So let's add some of these to my journal. There was that one slider, this guy, I haven't finished decorating yet. I've got, the idea was to have a secret journaling space behind. Looking for reds. Do we have reds? This guy's a bit of a red. So we can use maybe some words in this case, like this, just to add a little something to that. So let me cut this off. In this case, I'm just flat gluing. There. Because this is kind of bland. Okay. There we go. So I've just added something there. And then we want to do some sort of a tab somewhere. Here's a blank page. So let's grab a tab and put a tab right up here. So that we're just going to, now from the other side, if you didn't want that showing, you could glue another piece of scrap on the back so it's not showing what's hanging over the edge. So I'm going to glue that so it hangs over just a little bit. But to a very plain page, we've just added some texture, dimension. Now, it would be really cute if we could do a pocket here or a belly band. There's a pocket. And then we're just going to slide that in there. Adorable. There we go. That's cute. I like that. Now, I don't mind the look of a brad in a journal, but if we want to cover that up on the other side, I have this paper clip already over top of that. So that will hide the brad, but it's not necessary. So there we've got a little bit of interaction in the journal. So that's cute. This is a cluster. We could put a cluster there to kind of balance the colors. I like that. So let's just glue. We're just going to glue that behind. It's pretty. That's pretty good for that page. It wants to bend. Now this keeps wanting to roll on me, so I feel like I need something sturdy here. So I might end up gluing her down on there. Yeah, I think I will. Just to try to keep that from rolling. Yeah, so if you have other scrap buster ideas for at the end of a journal when you're trying to embellish your journal and use up your scraps, list them below so we can share with each other any ideas you have. But hopefully this gives you some ideas on how to use up those papers. So you get your stamps out. Oh, punches. Kathy. Punches. Get your punches out. Make a bunch of, and you know what? And then if you don't use these things that you've punched out, you can most certainly use them other places. Like that's something you could put into your little ephemera boxes. What am I looking for? I'm looking for, there we go. Let's move that down. And then I really like this little neutral heart here. I would just add this. Now you can do dimensional hearts with the folds. But I'm just going to add that there. There we go. Okay, so we've added that. I feel like this postcard, this needs something. So there's a belly band. We can just add that little notebook in there. So we did, there's a cluster. So let's try to add this other. So we have one up there. So let's try to move one down lower. There is perfect. And about here. And then maybe I'll make one more to go like in the center. Basically, if you do one per signature, it's kind of a nice balance. It doesn't really matter though, because it's a junk journal, right? Okay. Oh, and then I talked about using this as a page edge, right? So sometimes you have pages like here, this is ripping. So this might not be a bad idea just to reinforce this on the back with this strip. So that's a perfect example right there. So basically what I'm going to do is just put the glue on here. And then that'll keep that vintage page from tearing anymore. So double duty, it adds a little color, a little visual interest, but it will secure that from tearing further. So another great way to use your strips, your scraps, and then we can just trim off these edges. Okay, and then this side. Beautiful. So we've used our strips, we've used a tag, we've used some of our medallions, some of our words. Where could we use our words? So that one's a little choppy. Oh, and this we haven't used yet. Where could we use this? On the top of you could use it along a pocket like that. Could use it along here. Yeah, kind of like that idea. Along here. Yeah, I like this right here. So I'm just going to glue this whole thing right on here. And then we can trim it up as we need it. Now we can take a piece of paper and ink that up a bit. And yes, I'm roughing it up, and that's okay. It's going to look even better. Slip this kind of under if I can. There we go. Probably should have inked it before I put it on, but if you forget like me often, to do it. This is how to save your paper and still get okay, so that's a little bit I'd tear off. It's a little bit of a too much of a lift there, so we'll glue that little bit down. That's cute. I like that. And then we'll just trim the page at the bottom. How about the top? Just a little bit off the top. There we go. There. That's pretty too. I really like that. Okay. So I think we've done everything except for the words maybe, but I mean, I think you know what to do. Like this little tab here. You could put something on there. Oh, what about this cluster? Oh, I like that. So I'm putting the cluster on top of the latch here, but it's not interfering with where the latch goes into the book. That's pretty. Or into the page like that. That's really cute. I like that. Haven't figured out quite what to do with that, but we will. There we go. We can do a pocket. Let's do a pocket right there. So there's always some space somewhere that you can add. You could come down here like that, where you can add these little bits, and there's always, you'll always find space in your journal. And I know we have a hard time. It's like we just don't know when to stop. And then there, let's do that. Here comes one of my dogs. It's Luna. Hi, Luna. Anchor animal. Put that down. Hello, Luna. She's going to be asking to get back up because the door's going to close behind her. Well, that's perfect timing because we're just about done. There, that's cute. I like that. And then we made a glued snippet roll. Except it's not fabric. We used glue and we didn't stitch it. And it still looks super cute. So we did that. We did paper clusters. We made some medallions. We made tags. We made some hearts. We made some cluster tabs. We did some vellum clusters. It's another tag. We did little scrappy notebooks. We did some other small tags. We did a page reinforcement with a strip. I think that would be really pretty right there. Is it going to glue? Is it going to stay on with that washi tape? Let's find out. I don't know. But she's just glued to the corner. Let's hold that there for a second. Great, 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 great. This needs something. Oh, this belly band here. Okay, so this belly band just got an upgrade. So that's cute. Remember to let me know in the comments if you have other ideas for scrap busters to use when you are at your project's end and you have scraps left over. Here's something I demonstrated. I made another thing I did with scraps was these banner clips. So it's just these are 2-inch vinyl coated paper clips, and this just simply is folded over and glued there and glued at one end so that goes in, and then it just holds your items. Oops, that was upside down. Like that. So that's one of them. Another one I did was this one. So it has a little bit of lace behind it, and then it has some shipping paper. And where's the other one? There's another one. So it has 2 banners cut, and then your a little piece of lace in there too. Same thing, just folded over the back of this clip, paper clip, like that, and glued, and then it can be added to your pocket. Now remember to do your banners, to get the tails to be the same. It doesn't matter if they're different lengths. You just want to cut the one end. You just want to cut them together at the same time. So let me give you an example. So you have 2 pieces like this, and just hold them so they're butt up again, butt up at the same end. Give it just a little fold in half like that, and then you want to cut from the folded side to the open side. Now your tails are the same, and then it doesn't matter if this is up here. That. Oh, I like that. I might actually use that. That's cute. Let's see. That's really cute. I like that. Okay, so there's lots of ideas. So let me know again in the comments other ideas for scrap busters, how to use up those scraps and add some more dimension to your journals, and different tips and tricks. Let's share with each other and use up those scraps. Thanks for crafting along with me today, and have a great weekend. See you in the next video.